Good morning and welcome to this session about the Lancet Commission on Women and Cardiovascular Disease. I'm here with the Senior Executive Editor of the Lancet, Stuart Spencer, and Professor Roxana Mehran from Mount Sinai in New York, who was the actual chief of this commission, the lead commissioner. So, you know, the Commission has highlighted 10 points of action, as you would have seen from the sessions if you've managed to watch it before. And, you know, there is a clear path, you know, in theory. In practice, what's next? You know, what is the action, the first action we need to do? You start, Roxana.
Thank you, Professor Casadei, if I may call you Barbara.
No, don't.
It's really fantastic that we have this at ESC, that it's central to us to now think about what's the next steps. Enough talking, let's get some action.
Exactly.
And I think that's why we have these top 10 recommendations. And in my mind, I think we need to bring the communities at large, men and women, together to start thinking about how we focus on the cardiovascular health of women around the world. The global burden of disease data shows us that ischemic heart disease is the #1 cause of death, that hypertension followed by hyperglycemia and obesity are the 3 most important risk factors. We learned all of these things, and now we need to put action forward. How do we do this? Is by bringing the communities together and brainstorming about multiple actions. Our recommendations are clear-cut. If
Absolutely.
we just follow some of those recommendations, I think we will make the promise we have made by 2030 to reduce the burden by 20%, 30%, whatever percent. How do we do this, though? I mean, we've talked about this, Barbara, you and I, and we're both frustrated. We feel that we need not just academia, but also industry partnership, as well as government partnership in grants, funding, and understanding real-time data, but then putting the action forward in perhaps treating hypertension, for example, or some simple things.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a sense that, you know, sometimes talking too much about it can be counterproductive.
Yes.
And we really need some disruptive idea that shows on the ground that something can be done that really makes a difference. And I think that the journals also have a responsibility for that. You know, you have a responsibility to promote a certain line of research, to write and produce editorials and point of view on this, to really, and the European Society of Cardiology has the responsibility to lobby, you know, with the government and the EU. So, Stuart, how do you see it? You know, what can the Lancet do to move from words and academia into facts?
It's a difficult one because it's not really our main thing to do, but we are doing our bit by making sure that we're demanding that results are broken down by sex so that we can see differences between males and females. The problem is, of course, that we cannot make people recruit females into their studies, but we can say we're not going to take the paper if it isn't there. So we will look seriously, we are looking seriously at sex breakdown. Of course, it's not the same for each particular study. So we can do that, but we've got to try and get a message out there, not just to cardiologists, you know, what this sort of thing, if we're going to treat hypertension, glycemia and so on, we've got to get out to general practice. And that really means that we've got to try and educate the educators, because the GPs coming through, the medics coming through now, don't seem to have this message on board. And I'm really surprised at that, because I really expect the younger people to have been exposed to these arguments already, but they're not picking it up.
Not really. I don't think anybody told me about this at medical school or made any point about that. But maybe we should cut the middleman altogether and go and do like the barbershop study, go to the hairdressers, go to community center, go where, you know, the women are, like the Commission says, you know, also for recruiting them in clinical trials and helping them to to retain within the clinical trials. What do you think? I think we need some original.
That's one of the pathways, and I think we also need female investigators. I think they would be more, more and more. I mean, we're all working hard to bring more women into cardiology. And we also need our male colleagues to become interested. Yeah. I often see that if we talk about heart disease in women, for some reason, it's only the female cardiologists are doing this.
Yes.
This is not, half of the population are women. Yeah. Cardiovascular disease is a really important cause of death. It's the #1 cause of death in women. How is it that male cardiologists aren't interested? I think they are. We just need to make it more interesting, maybe more sexy for them to come forward with more toys, with more, I don't know.
I can't imagine how.
Honestly, I want to think outside of the box. But think about it. If you look at the women heart centers in all of the different hospitals, who's running it? It's women who are running it. Yeah. And we don't have that many female cardiologists enough to help treat cardiovascular disease in women if it's relegated to women to do it. So how do we get our male colleagues interested, Barbara?
I think that educating women would make an enormous difference to society, because we will see during the day there will be trials, for instance, of salt substitution. We know the effect of sugar and all of that. So, you educate women to be aware. Mostly women cook and look after this family. They will bring up a healthier next generation as well. So the value is over and above what can be, directly to women's health only.
So your undertone that I'm hearing is design studies that are not just female, that's not just all women, but design studies and go to places where you will have a good representation of women.
Yes.
Is that,
and start early. I think the maternal health is something that needs to be stressed very much as well. Start early, and is good for the child and for the mother and for the whole family. And on this note, I think we are completing now this little interlude for you, and we like you to think about these issues. I think they are important for cardiology, they are important for the society, and they are important for 50% of the population at least. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And goodbye.